So looks like it's going to be some smaller hail with this storm, as opposed to the quarter-sized hail we've seen with most of the warnings today. Again, this is radar indicated, so we could expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations included Camden, Lugoff, Mount Pisgah, Casat, Goodale State Park, McBee, Bethune, North Central High School, DeKalb, Northtown Square Shopping Center, Antioch, Midway Elementary School, and Woodward Airfield. Um, Now it looks like, so yeah, we do have a tornado warning issued on that northern cell now. This is extending all the way up to the North Carolina, South Carolina border. Um, I'll flip over to velocity so we can get a good look at that. Let's see. So, oh yeah, definitely. So it looks like we're definitely getting some rotation right in this area. We've got some strong winds spinning around the southern end of that storm. Um, let's see if we can animate this. I'll zoom this out a little bit. Well, that's good. Yeah, so we can see that rotation has really been tightening up over the last 10 to 15 minutes as it heads towards eastern Kershaw and later on towards Jefferson. So this storm is moving at 60 miles an hour, assuming it's moving at the same speed as the other one. Oh, okay. So actually, it is not. Let me read through this for you. So the tornado warning for southeastern Lancaster counties, Lancaster County, northwestern Chesterfield County, and northern Kershaw County, and all those in central South Carolina. This is until 5:30 p.m. So for the next 27 minutes. As of 5 o'clock, severe thunderstorm was capable of producing a tornado, and it was located over Westville, or 8 miles outside of Lake Wateree Dam, moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. So that is slower than that southern cell. We'll see how those storms move over the coming 10 to 15 minutes. Seems like they're tracking together pretty well. We'll see if that one outpaces the other. But we do have a radar indicated rotation. So the hazard here is for tornado. Again, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed, with damage to roofs, vehicles, and windows likely, and tree damage as well. When trees fall on homes, that can cause even more house damage. So it's not just a risk because of hail to roofs, but also tree damage and wind damage. This storm will be near Kershaw around 5:15. So it'll be approaching Kershaw in 11 minutes and Mount Pisgah in another 10 minutes after that at 5:25. Other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Chesterfield Ruby Middle School, High Point Fire Station, Mount Croghan, North Central High School, Jefferson, DeKalb, Bay Springs Fire Station, 40-acre Rock Preserve, Taxaw, and Kershaw Correctional Institution. So let's see, this is a radar indicated tornado with smaller hail, a little bit less than 3/4 inch, which I believe is what we were seeing with this southern storm. Actually, it looks like we've got maybe a little bit more rotation showing up with that, or that could be inflow. But before I get too involved with that, I want to move back up to the north just to check on this storm that was moving through Surry County and out of Wilkes County. Let's flip over to some velocity. Okay. So we'll flip over to the Roanoke radar, and the storm is still looking like a beast. We've got strong rotation just to the west of Dobson, North Carolina. Still moving northeast, and I believe this one's moving at 55 miles an hour. So we'll be approaching Cana soon, and Fancy Gap as well. We'll go ahead and read through this. This expires in 40 minutes. Remains in effect until 5:45 for northeastern Wilkes and south central Carroll, and for western Surry County. So again, this is the fourth tornado warning that we've covered today for Surry County. It's been a busy day. We saw one earlier pass closer to Pilot Mountain and the general area over here. So this one's maybe tracking a little bit farther to the west than the ones earlier this morning did, but certainly still in the same general area. And this area is just being hammered by storms. Let's just make sure that there's no damage, tornado debris signature before I move back to the south. I don't see one. I'll read off a list of cities for this before I go back down to the southern storms. Locations impacted include Mount Airy, Fancy Gap, Mountain Park, Bottom, and Cana. Take cover now, move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Storm is capable of producing a tornado, so you want to be inside and protected. And if you are stuck outside in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. This tornado, actually, here's an interesting note. This tornado may be hidden by heavy rainfall. So this may be rain wrapped, to mean that if you're standing outside on your porch wanting to see a tornado, You may not even see it coming, and it could be on top of you before you know it. So don't take the time to go look at it and try to shoot some video. Just get indoors and get to a safe place. Um, I believe that. Oops. I believe that the storm down here has gone severe thunderstorm warning. Yep. So we have a new severe thunderstorm warning approaching the KCLX radar. I'll switch away from correlation coefficient and over to reflectivity. So actually, that cell is out in front of the other ones, which is interesting. It's not going to be hindered by the other storms around it. So we actually might want to watch that one closely, see if it has any rotation in it. Don't see any rotation at the moment. Definitely some strong winds. We'll go ahead and click on this warning and read it off to you. So National Weather Service in Charleston, South Carolina has issued a severe thunderstorm warning as of 5:03 p.m. for portions of Screven County in southeastern Georgia, Effingham County in southeastern Georgia, Hampton County in southeastern South Carolina, and Jasper County in southeastern South Carolina. So this severe thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm was located 12 miles west of Springfield, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. The cell's produced dime-sized hail and has a history of a lot of lightning. So folks, need to be careful if you're around this storm. 60-mile-an-hour winds as well. It's not one you want to mess around with. You definitely want to be indoors, away from trees and power lines, and tall objects where lightning may strike and where you may be injured. It's moving northeast at 45 miles an hour and located to the west of Springfield. Locations impacted include Ridgeland, Lake Warren State Park, Estill, Newington, Oliver, Furman, Scotia, and Luray. So this warning actually includes I-95 in South Carolina between mile markers 25 and 29. So for folks on I-95, be careful if you're driving out there. Obviously, you never want to be driving on the interstate in storms like this is one of the hardest things to do. You want to be very careful as you're driving through that area. Let's go back and check on the storm near Columbia. See how it's doing. We've got, well, actually, both of these have definitely both of these storms have rotation to them. So this northern storm had its tornado warning issued about 10 minutes ago, and it is for southeastern Lancaster County, northwestern Chesterfield County, and northern Kershaw County, all those in central North Carolina. As of 5 p.m., a storm capable of producing a tornado. It was located just over Westville, 8 miles northeast of Lake Wateree Dam, moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. Obviously, the hazard of this storm is a tornado indicated by radar. Flying debris and strong winds are the main risk of this storm. Other locations impacted in this storm include Chesterfield Ruby Middle School, High Point Fire Station, Mount Croghan, North Central High School, Jefferson, DeKalb, Bay Springs Fire Station, 40 Acre Rock Preserve, Taxaw, and Kershaw Correctional Facility. It'll be near Kershaw at 5:15 p.m. and Mount Pisgah by 5:25. Looks like we just got a new scan in. Not seeing quite as much rotation with that southern storm that has the severe thunderstorm warning, which is good. I'll animate this a little bit to see how it's progressed over the last 15 minutes. That may have just been an inflow notch with this storm causing that bright reflectivity. So there may not be too much rotation with that southern storm. But that one is the one that has the severe thunderstorm warning, is heading towards Bethune and McBee, and will be there shortly. I'll click on this and just read that off. Let's see. Oops. Let's see what we have. So it expires in 19 minutes, including many of the same locations as that tornado warning. Antioch, Midway Elementary School, Woodward Airfield, Mount Pisgah, Gossaut, Goodale, State Park, McBee, Bethune, North Central High School. Hail, roughly a 3/4 inch sized hail, and winds up to 60 miles an hour. So this is a radar indicated storm capable of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds and hail. So if you're in the path of that storm, you're going to want to be inside and away from trees, just in case, wind can knock down trees onto homes, and lightning can strike trees. So you want to be safe and inside. For folks in the tornado warning, you obviously want to be in a basement or interior room on the lowest level of your home, away from windows, because that is the safest place in the event of a tornado. It looks like we have that rotation is a little bit tighter maybe than it was a minute ago. Zoom in, just right in there. We've got some pretty tight rotation heading northeast towards Jefferson. That'll be there over the next 10 minutes. Keep in mind, all these storms today are moving very quickly, many of them as quickly as 60 miles an hour. which is the speed of a car on the highway most of the time. So there's no outrunning these storms. You just have to take shelter and be careful. Moving back north towards the storm in Surrey County near Mount Airy and Cana, looks like we just got an update on that tornado warning, so we'll read it off. As of 5:09, the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Bottom, moving northeast at 65 miles an hour. Hazard here is tornado and quarter-sized hail. Locations impacted may include Mount Airy, Fancy Gap, Bottom, Cana, and Mountain Park. So still the same areas that we were looking at earlier. Cana, you were really right in the middle, right in the bullseye of this storm, as it'll be there over the next 10 minutes.
Hey,
Fancy
Evan.
Gap. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, Evan, I'm back. I just want to let you know, I'm back here. So I do believe we just got a new tornado warning issued for Kershaw County in South Carolina. This is out of the Columbia office.
Alrighty. Will you drive for a second so I can
Sure.
get some water? Yep. I'm parched.
Definitely so. Yeah, definitely so. So let me get the radar, grab the screen share back to my radar here. So give me just 1 second. So here we go. This is a new tornado warning now out for this would be Kershaw County and Cassett County, I guess is how you pronounce it. I'm not from that area, so I'm not too sure. But let me pull up the Columbia chat here, and we'll kind of give you this tornado warning here. So this new one is for Chesterfield, Kershaw, and Lee County until 5:45 p.m. So some of the communities in this tornado warning would be Cassett, Bethune, McBee, and Patrick, South Carolina. So this will be moving into the McBee area in just a little bit. So if you're familiar with McBee, that's kind of where the peach stand is at. So this is a tornado warning. As you can see, we start to see this hook figure coming in just outside of Cassett. This will be near Bethune, and this will be moving off to the northeast at about, let's see, I don't have a storm track on that. Let me see if I can get one. At about 36 knots. So we're looking at around 40 miles per hour. So this will be heading towards McBee around 5:18 p.m. As you can see, let me get on the Columbia radar here. I was on the Greenville radar. So let's go back to the Columbia. So you can see this really nice hook right here coming in off of the Columbia radar. So, oops, hit the wrong button there. So this little hook right here, it's moving up Highway 1 in South Carolina. This is some rural areas, some farmland, but also there is some populated areas like McBee and Bethune. This will be moving up Highway 1. This warning also includes Kershaw County as well. So this is kind of a weird warning. It looks like we have two warnings inside of one. So let's go back to this one right here. And so here's your tornado warning. Okay, here, I'm sorry, I totally missed this cell right here. So this cell is also tornado warning. This would be including the Pageland area and close to Cheraw. So we have two signatures here, two cells, one right there and the other one near Bethune. And these are moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. I'm sorry, about 40 miles per hour. So those locations in Kershaw and County, be on the lookout. So we've got two cells. We've got one up here heading towards Jefferson on Highway 151. That would be moving also into Mount Croghan. And then we have this second cell that is a little bit more of a stronger cell. That is located near Bethune and heading towards McBee. So two tornado warnings here in the Midlands or the Sandhills of South Carolina that are, this one's really strong. I would honestly say this is the stronger cell of the two, the one in Bethune and McBee. So you definitely want to seek your tornado shelter, your safe place. Go into the lowest level of your home and most interior place from your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside. This is at least the 10th 12th tornado warning that we've covered today here in the area. So again, the tornado warning continues. We'll read it off to you. Northwestern Lee County, Central Chesterfield, and East Central Kershaw County in South Carolina until 5:45. At 5:11, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Cassette, or 13 miles northwest of Bishopville, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. This is a radar indicated rotation for that's prompted the tornado warning. So there is no visual confirmation of this storm. This is based off of radar signatures. This dangerous storm will be near the Carolina Sandhills Wildlife Refuge at 5:30 p.m. Other locations to be impacted by this thunderstorm would include Patrick, McBee, Alligator Fire Station, Middendorf, Bay Springs Fire Station, Bethune, Midway Elementary School, Antioch, and Lucknow. So that is for that tornado warning. Let's go up to this other tornado warning. This tornado warning remains in effect until 5:30, so for another 12 minutes or so. At 5:15, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Mount Pisgah, or 16 miles northeast of Lake Wateree Dam, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. That means that Chesterfield, Kershaw, and Lancaster County, South Carolina, all included in this tornado warning. Again, this is Doppler indicated, so there's been no visual confirmation of this, but it is Doppler indicated. This storm will be near Mount Pisgah at 5:25. Other locations this thunderstorm could affect would be Chesterfield Ruby Middle School, High Point Fire Station, Mount Croghan, Jefferson, Chesterfield Detention Center, Ruby, and Central High School. So those are two supercells, and you can start to see this hook develop also in Jefferson. So let's get to a two-panel here, and we will look at these cells. So here's the first one over Jefferson. We have some rotation down on the southern flank, and then this storm really developing. You can see that by the lightning. This will be moving almost through Bethune. So if you are living in that area, you need to be seeking shelter also in McBee. So if you're traveling along Highway 151 or US Highway 1, you need to be seeking shelter right now with these two tornado warning cells. So getting some more tornado alerts in my ear. The tornado warning continues for Surry County, North Carolina. So we'll go up to Surry County. This is like the fourth tornado warning cell up in this area. This is just north of Highway 89. This is right over right to the west of Interstate 77, 74 interchange. That is where the rotation's at. And this will continue to move into Virginia along Highways 52 and Interstate 77. So we are watching these two cells again. We've got the one in Surry County, and then we've got two down here in the Columbia District. And these look rather impressive on radar, at least this one that's moving through Bethune and McBee. So this tornado warning includes Patrick in Chesterfield County, as well as, let's see, any other communities showing up. I don't see any other bigger communities showing up. This additional tornado warning continues for Jefferson, as well as Pageland, Mount Croghan, Ruby, and Chesterfield on Highway 9. So if you are familiar with Pageland, maybe you travel that way through coming back from Myrtle Beach. If you live in the Charlotte area, Highway 601, that area is under a tornado warning. So we will monitor all three of these tornado warning cells as they continue to move off to the northeast. So looking back, we've got new storms developing in southwest North Carolina as well as northern Georgia, northwest Georgia. So we will continue to monitor those as that second line of storms moves into the area. Evan, I see you're back. One thing that I noticed, I just came in and was checking a few areas that I thought may have received some damage from that tornado report here, or tornado warning in Burke County. I've seen some trees down, but nothing really conducive of a tornado, so that's a good sign. But the sun is out full blast here in the foothills, and that's really going to help destabilize the atmosphere as the second line of storms moves into western North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina.
Absolutely, yeah. Once we get more of that heating going on, you were mentioning earlier, Scotty, that it's kind of rained a lot most of the morning for areas in North Carolina, but that dry slot is moving. If you can call it a dry slot, the clearing is moving to the east from kind of eastern North Carolina or eastern Tennessee, heading over western North Carolina. And I will go ahead and actually share my screen for y'all to see what we're talking about. And here we go. Share. So this is generally the storms that we're talking, or the clearing that we're talking about. If you kind of animate it, you can see that over time the storms have been moving out, and we've got more sun moving in. There are some storms over here, kind of just barely make it into western North Carolina, that the SPC had indicated that they were a little bit concerned that those storms may have potential to produce tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, hail, strong winds, and stuff like that. So we'll be watching those as they move into more western North Carolina, and even into the foothills and the Piedmont over the coming hours. And honestly, we're going to be monitoring this into the nighttime, Scotty.
Yeah, definitely so. We're going to watch that secondary line, and that's a great the COD imagery there, the Ghost 16 that you were just showing. That shows that line intensifying as it moves into western North Carolina again. So we have this two cells that we're watching in South Carolina. I'm not sure, haven't heard anything from Chris Jackson. I know that he would know this area a little bit better, but again, this tornado warren cell is moving through Bethune to McBee, South Carolina, along Highway 1, U.S. Highway 1. So if you live in that location or know someone who lives in that area between Bethune and McBee, you need to be in your storm shelter, your storm safe area. One good thing, Evan, that I was looking through chat while you were talking. The National Weather Service in Greenville, Spartanburg seems to think, as well as the Storm Prediction Center, is once we get past sunset, these cells should really start to die off. So it may be another round of strong to severe storms in western North Carolina, but once they get into the eastern portions of North Carolina and South Carolina, they're going to lose that sunlight and hopefully will die off as the sun sets. So we're still at 5:25, so another at least 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes before we see sunset. So that's still going to give these storms ample time to do their thing as they move into the area. So let's see. Let me grab the radar here, and we'll screen share it and let you guys see the warnings that are currently taking place right now. Again, so here's the two tornado warnings. One here moving into McBee. That is the one that I guess is the most populated area that I know of down in that area. So you need to be seeking shelter. The other one is in Jefferson. This one's kind of lost a little bit of its rotation, but it's still there. But I would say out of these two storms, this storm over Bethune heading into McBee is definitely robbing some of the inflow to this northern cell. So that's why we're seeing it start to die off a little bit. And we're seeing this cell over McBee really start to intensify, Evan.
Yeah, and I would say there's also a few storms a little bit further south that are crossing into South Carolina, near Savannah. We probably should keep an eye on. Those will be into the Charleston area before sunset. If they don't graze just north, at least they'll be definitely into South Carolina over the next 30 minutes. There's a few storms out front of the main line. One of them has a severe thunderstorm warning that warrants suspicion. They're moving a little bit more northerly than the Lanier storms, a little bit to their west. I have not looked at their velocity, but I'm assuming that there's at least strong winds in there. I don't see much rotation as of yet, but over the next 30 minutes, that's going to be all those storms will be into South Carolina. And we're going to need to watch those closely because they got a lot of fuel.
Definitely so, Evan. I'm looking at some of the storm reports coming in out of the Greenville Spartanburg report weather office. In Henderson County, public reported a chimney blew off and partial roof damage occurred to a home on Oak Acres as severe thunderstorms moved through that area. So that's some interesting damage there. You know, it takes a lot of wind to create some chimney and partial roof damage to a home. So that is something that maybe we'll follow up on here in a little bit to see what's going on with that. But we'll say that the tornado warning well, it just scrolled by too fast. That tornado warning for the Surrey County looks like it is going to be continuing for at least another couple of minutes there as we can get up to that storm here on radar. And or do you have it, Evan? Or
I do, yeah. I can share it real quick. It looks great, and it is still very strong, unfortunately, and that's not what we want to see. Obviously, it is over the border into Virginia now, so not technically in the area that we normally cover, but you know, for somewhere that close to North Carolina and a storm this strong, this is something that we're very concerned about. Is it's passing just east of Cana, and it looked just like that. A new thunderstorm warning or a new tornado warning was just issued from Cana up towards Floyd and I guess I don't know what else is up that way.
yeah, good thing for North Carolina follows is Surrey County with that updated that doesn't include Surrey County anymore. So that is some good news with that tornado warning. So right now we are watching two tornado warning cells in the Sandhills of South Carolina. And that would include, really honestly, though, I think that one cell will probably be, that one warning will probably go away here in the next little bit. There's hardly anything over Jefferson now. So
Yeah.
that warning probably will be dismissed. But this is the cell that we're watching now. It's moving through McBee. Patrick also included in this tornado warning as it continues to travel up US Highway 1. And you can see the rotation here on the back side of the cell that is moving through McBee. So this is the intersection of South Carolina Highway 151 as well as Highway 1, US Highway 1 in South Carolina with this tornado warning. So let's see. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning coming. There's so many coming out that it's hard to keep up with. This new severe thunderstorm warning is going up for this cell in Jefferson, the one that had the tornado warning. That is now a severe thunderstorm warning, but there's really not much there. There's probably some outflows, some winds, some gusty winds that they're going to be warning on. But this cell in Pageland, we'll be going from Jefferson to Pageland. That is where the severe thunderstorm warning is. So this is the lone tornado warning as of right now. This will continue to move through McBee and then eventually into Patrick in Chesterfield County if this cell continues. So a lot of lightning, some heavy rain. And Evan, I noticed while I was out riding around with looking for some damage here where I live, a lot of the local streams and creeks are really elevated, not only per se flooded, but they're really elevated. And so these cells continue to train over the same area in the same area. I would not be surprised to see some flood advisories or even flood warnings come out with this next line of storms moving into the area.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually tweeting about that a little bit this morning, talking about how with some of these storms, as you just said, once they start training, that heavy precipitation rate is just gonna start leading to ponding on roads and maybe some small creeks flooding and stuff like that. I don't think we're going to see any major flooding today. Places like Surrey County, I mean, this is the fourth storm of the day for Surrey County, I believe. So definitely places like Surrey County could be in for some serious flooding. But I think, you know, I say serious. I think for the most part, we're looking at small to maybe moderate flooding across the areas where storms have trained with maybe, I don't know, 2 to 4 inches of rain. 4 inches definitely being the max. I don't think anyone in the area will see more than that. But it's all very isolated and dependent on where storm tracks are.
Very much so. So I'm going to pull up. This is GR Earth. This is another program that I like to use, and I was wanting to show you. This is more of a mosaic, so we get to see all of the different radars combined together. But we're starting to see this line of storms develop, Evan, in northwest Georgia into southwest North Carolina, and probably will eventually it's trying to start to fill in over the Morristown and Greenville area, moving into Bristol. So this will be the line of next line of showers and storms to watch. And this is the one that could potentially produce some damaging winds with severe thunderstorms as it moves into western North Carolina. And once it gets through western North Carolina, it's kind of a race between sunset and where this line gets to. Because once the sun goes down, we're going to really start to lose a lot of that energy that these storms need to continue with. So it's going to be interesting to see where that line makes it. But an additional round, and I'm looking outside here, and I posted a video on my Twitter just a little bit ago, warning folks in Western North Carolina to not let your guard down. Just because the sun is back out doesn't mean that the threat is over. That tornado watch goes out until 8 p.m. tonight, and with this additional line of storms moving through, we may not, the tornado threat altogether may be a little bit lower, but we could still see some damaging winds. And it doesn't matter if wind is blowing in the same direction or if it's rotating. It's wind is wind, and it'll do damage. So that is something we'll have to watch as we continue. So I'm looking at some video of downtown Morganton, and I did not go downtown, and I should have, because that's where all the damage is. So wow, a lot of damage there. I'll share that out on our pages here in just a little bit. So I missed it. I went to Salem because that's where the rotation was showing earlier, and I didn't see much. But downtown Morganton, a lot of damage in town. So I missed that. I should have went towards town. But anyway, let's get back to this severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning that continues for Chesterfield and Kershaw County until 5:45. At 5:29, the severe thunderstorm was capable of producing a tornado was located near Carolina Sand Hills Wildlife Refuge, or 13 miles northwest of Hartsville. And so that cell is the one we're continuing to watch. I was looking at the Weather Service in Columbia. One of their forecasters saying that once the line gets here at or after sunset, the atmosphere may be too worked over for those storms to get going once it gets out of the Midlands of South Carolina. So that's something that we will continue to watch. And Evan, that's something we've been talking about over and over, and with this line. So I'm going to let you. I'm going to see if I can pull up some of that video that I was just talking about. I'll let you kind of give an update of what's going on in South Carolina right now.
All right, will do. So as Scotty was just saying, we've still got a few storms, or actually several storms rolling across South Carolina. There is one in particular, or actually there's a batch that I'm a little bit interested in, and my radar is really trying to give me a hard time here. Here we go. So we obviously have the tornado warning here, northeast of Columbia, approaching the North Carolina-South Carolina border. Still decently strong rotation on that southern cell. As Scotty was saying, that northern cell has really been choked out, and the southern cell is the one that's going to be able to pull in all that inflow and continue to feed off of the environment and the tornado producing environment. So this storm is moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. I think that'll be approaching Cheraw. Let's see if that one, yeah, Cheraw and the North Carolina border over the next 20 minutes or so. If we head down to the south, my radar is really giving me a tough time here. So we head down to the south and flip over to the KCLX radar. This is the batch of storms that I'm interested in. This is crossing over as we speak from Georgia into South Carolina. One severe thunderstorm warning out for the area near the radar. Let's see if there's any cities in there that I can pinpoint. To the west of Newington, south of Furman, really almost right over top of the radar site. As this group of storms continues to move east, it'll be over the Charleston and coastal South Carolina areas before the sun sets. So we may see some of these storms cause problems for us before The atmosphere turns off all the fuel or some of the fuel, and we are getting quite as potent storms as we have been this afternoon. And so we're going to have to keep an eye on that one. For the most part, though, it's just that one storm down there, as well as the tornado warning storm and its counterpart just to its north in north central South Carolina.
Yep. And Evan, I'm watching that news cell popping up just to your southwest. I know you're in Charleston right now, but a news cell popping up just outside of Ridgeland, South Carolina. That looks pretty nasty as well as it moves from Georgia into South Carolina. So, as you're saying, we still got these cells developing. But this one over McBee, South Carolina, continues to do its thing here. So we will continue watching it. Evan's got the radar popped up there in the low country of South Carolina, and that is a new severe thunderstorm warning that we are watching. So we'll watch the progress of that. I'm trying to look here. That tornado warning in Virginia continues, but we are not on that one. Severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for Chesterfield, Cheraw, and Lancaster. So that was the storm that was kind of on the upper edge. Like we were talking about, it totally got choked out from that. And this new cell over just outside of McBee now. This is heading towards Patrick up Highway US 1, and then eventually could be heading into Cheraw and Chesterfield on Highway 9. So we will continue to watch that as that cell moves up into the area. So let me get the screen share on that. And I'm waiting for permission to show that video. I wanted to make sure that we got permission before we showed that video of the damage earlier here in Morganton. But again, so here's that cell. It continues to move to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. This tornado warning goes for another 5 minutes. So we'll watch that. Hopefully we'll be able to allow that to expire. And it's been a very busy day, hasn't it, Evan? I mean, we've had numerous tornado warnings, and thankfully, I don't. These investigation storm surveys will be done, I'm sure, over the next few days, but none really have been confirmed as of right now, and that's some good news.
Agreed. Yeah, for the most part, the only kind of damage that I've seen has been from high winds outside of severe thunderstorms. So I have not seen any reports of tornadoes, so we'll see if that comes out. It certainly may. We've had that storm that went through western Surrey County a few minutes ago, looked pretty potent, as well as what's going through areas near McBee. So the day is not over yet.
Definitely so. And let's go back to the radar here, and I'm going to show you the last couple of frames. That rotation over just outside of McBee is kind of tightened up a little bit. We're looking at a 55 knot. About 55 and 24 is, what is that, about 90 miles per hour wind here, gate to gate. So definitely still the chance for a weak tornado moving along Highway 1. Again, this is a radar confirmed tornado, so we have not visually got confirmation from folks, or we use correlation coefficient. You kind of see debris. We saw that last night in Mississippi with a lot of these tornadoes. You can actually see debris lofted into the air, and the correlation coefficient on our dual pole radar was able to depict that. And so they were able to confirm tornadoes that way. But with this, we haven't got that. We can check it, though. Let's see what correlation coefficient showing. And you can see there's nothing really there. You would see a lowering. You would see more of these colder colors show up as if there was some debris being lofted up. So that is a good sign that we do not see that. But we will continue to watch this cell. It's continuing for another 5 minutes or so, about 4 minutes now, as this cell continues to move through Patrick, and then eventually up into Cheraw and Chesterfield in Chesterfield County, South Carolina. This is a big area that a lot of folks like to visit. There's the McBee peach stand, and there's watermelon and all kinds of farms down in that area that if you're traveling back from Myrtle Beach, you normally stop at. So it's a busy stop, probably on a Sunday afternoon. So hopefully the folks there are taking shelter in those safe places. So again, looking at gate to gate shear, again about we're seeing 64 miles per hour one way, 31 the other. So still the potential for seeing some rotation there in this. And I'm going to pop this back up, Evan. This is starting to strengthen a little bit. Let me screen share this and show you what's going on. And you can see that rotation here. That's getting a little concerning. That's showing there's 60 knots, and then on the other side we're looking at 30 knots. So again, right around 90 mile per hour gate to gate shear there along Highway 1 in Chesterfield County. Good thing is, as you can see, I'm going to zoom in here. This is a lot of farmland and a lot of rural areas. So hopefully there's not many folks that live in this area, but if you do, you want to make sure that you are in your safe place as this this cell moves through the area. So again, that tornado warning, this little notch right here along Highway 1, this is where we're watching for that rotation to continue to move to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. So this tornado warning goes until 5:45, so another 2 minutes or so until we'll see what the National Weather Service in Columbia does with this warning. I'm looking at it. They're still watching the storm, and the storm has been slowly trending downward. So not sure if there'll be an extension on that tornado warning. So looks like a new mesoscale discussion has popped up with a watch probability of 80%. So once we get that, we can display it. I'm not sure what areas this would include, but it would be for, let's see if I can get our other source to pop up. This would include Fayetteville, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Florence, Sumter, and Summerville. So an 80% chance, or I think 80% chance, is that what it said? Yeah, 80% chance. So some sort of severe thunderstorm watch or tornado watch will be issued for places like Fayetteville, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Florence, Sumter, and Summerville, South Carolina. So the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma will be drawing that up, and as soon as we get that, we will share it out. So it is at 5:45, and I've not heard anything on this tornado warning, so we'll remain on here until we see if they're going to allow it to expire or extend it. Evan, anything else that you see kind of sticks out to you?
That rotation looks like it really even strengthened more since we just talked about how it was strengthening 2 minutes ago, if that's even possible. Those storms down to the south are still pretty much the same. We've got a bit more of a strong or a high wind signature with the main line down near the KCLX radar on the the South Carolina Georgia border. But otherwise, things are relatively quiet across the Carolinas, except for general thunderstorms and this one tornado warning that we have in South Carolina.
Looking at some of the reports here, we've got some pea-sized hail that has fallen in downtown Bethune. That's where this tornado warning was. But it's 5:45, and I'm assuming that this warning will be allowed to expire on time. I don't see any updates from the Weather Service office. So just checking all those. I'm looking to see if I don't see anything else.
Scotty, I'm going to jump in here real quick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And talk about, I don't think we mentioned this mesoscale discussion from earlier this afternoon. I'm not sure how long ago this was issued. It's down there, but I can barely read that. So this is talking about from the SPC about how there's a risk for supercells potentially capable of producing tornadoes over the kind of central North Carolina area, and that potential could increase a bit while spreading northeastward through 6 to 7 p.m. So at the very least, that's another hour and 15 minutes of this potential for that area.
Yeah, that is true, and I'm assuming here that that may be kind of lining up with that next round of storms that's moving through. Wouldn't you say, Evan?
Yeah, possibly. We'll see. It looks like that
All right.
tornado warning has dropped.
Yeah. So it's dropped. So we've got some word in our ear. We're gonna wrap up our coverage right now. We'll go back to our some of our best of Carolina Weather Group. One of our episodes talking about being prepared for severe weather. So we will continue to watch the radar, and if anything happens, we will break back into coverage. But for now, for Evan Fisher, I'm Scotty Powell with the Carolina Weather Group. We'll return back to our regular scheduled program.